Jeanine Pirro, co-host of The Five. Judge, 6 days ago, Reuters reported that the White House was monitoring the port talks and considering the effects of a strike. They do a lot of monitoring, and they do a lot of considering. They did that before the hurricane, but the job doesn't require monitoring. It requires using that bully pulpit and the power of the presidency.
Well, there's no question. This campaign, everything about what we're seeing now, and this is like an October surprise, is about a lack of leadership. It's about a lack of initiative. It's about recognizing what's going to happen. Everybody knew when this contract was up. Everybody knew in June that that was the last discussion anybody had, whether it's the Secretary of Commerce or the Secretary of Labor. The truth is, Gina Raimondo is the one who said after two assassination attempts on Trump, she said Trump needs to be eliminated. She's the one who said, oh, no, we didn't lose 800,000 jobs. Yes, you did. I mean, she's not keyed into the job. You've got to prepare. You've got to know what's going to happen. This is going to cost the American people a lot of money. These are the holidays. And this is how
they don't care.
You
they
bring them both together. You've got people in a flood. I lost my house in a flood when I was a kid. My family, our house went away.
You know what that's like.
They need canned goods. 85% of the canned goods come through the longshoremen, okay? Now we're not going to get those. 85% of canned goods. These people cannot predict a problem and deal with it.
NBC reported yesterday, for everyone criticizing anyone criticizing the administration's response, I guess NBC's in on the conspiracy because they reported that over in North Carolina, Buncombe County Manager Avril Pender said, we requested water even before the storm started, because we felt that some people were going to be cut off because of how much rain was coming. But despite the advance request, Pender said Buncombe County received its first shipment of water at 2:30 a.m. yesterday.
No surprise.
Judge.
This is an administration that only reacts, and you've got to hope that they react in time. You get water. The storm makes landfall on Thursday night. They get water today. I mean, that's crazy. Oh, we've got helicopters, supposedly. We've got all ways of transporting.
They had to have private helicopters got involved because they couldn't get enough government personnel. They have 3,000 people there now.
Yeah.
But the point is, you can't predict everything about a hurricane.
Oh,
but given how devastating the path looked, you can't just dump stuff at the Big Bend area of Florida and some in Georgia. You got to have some provisions on the ground ready for the people, or ready to deploy to the people right away. She didn't go to the hurricane briefings annually, Kamala Harris. We learned that tonight. That didn't happen. Again, why do that when you can spend time just traveling around the country
or doing
whatever they're doing?
Or doing a podcast about legalizing weed when you put 2,000 people in jail for smoking weed. I mean, the truth is that Kamala Harris is not focused. These people are not serious. And the sad part about all this is that Americans are suffering. And by the way, if Joe Biden wanted to solve the longshoremen, he could bring in the Taft-Hartley Act.
He said he's not doing it.
Yeah, of course he's not doing it. He wants the labor support.
Now, imagine if this went down in the last year of the Trump administration. What do you think the media? Do you think they would say Donald Trump engaged in monitoring the talks?
Yeah.
Do you think they would slaughter him metaphorically, for doing not doing more?
Well, but the good news is, in the 4 years, if Donald Trump and when Donald Trump becomes president, everything is going to be taken care of. It's like the baby formula. They were shutting down baby formula factories and then saying,
about that.
Gee,
it's like a bad dream,
I didn't know. Is there a shortage of baby formula? Only in the stores.
There's been so many things that have happened. I forgot about the baby.
And by the way, not at the border. There was no shortage at the border of the formula.
I want to play this. Biden says he's in constant contact with the key players over in the Middle East. Obviously another crisis brewing there. Let's watch this.
Do you think the government is doing enough?
Honestly, I don't know how you did not have a formal press conference or something from either President Biden or Kamala Harris. I mean, how do you not say anything for 4 days? They've been stranded for 4 days, and this is the first we've heard from them at all. FEMA is not on the ground there.
I guess she's in on the conspiracy, too. Obviously, that's not the Middle East clip, but I'm glad we played that because, again, the people are suffering. She's not a right-wing pundit. That's a woman in need.
That's
and
a woman
people in need
need.
in the Middle East now, too, and people are very afraid of what's going to happen next there.
Yeah, they're afraid. And what is the first thing that Joe Biden says last night after they take down Nasrallah and all the pagers and walkie-talkies? Ceasefire now. It's the same thing he said on October 8th. But, you know, we're going to assist Israel in its defense. Maybe you ought to just stay back, let Israel fight the fight, because they can do it and they can win.
I'm never using a pager again. Are you? Do you have any of your old pagers? Do you ever use pagers, Judge?
No. You know, I had one when I was married. I should have kept that.
You get a lot for that these days. They actually don't blow up. All right, Judge. Great to see you, as always.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.